Here we fucking go again, having to recap some shit that we've already talked about.
Adding a previously on was your idea.
Uh-huh. I love the idea. I hate doing it.
Anyway, previously on Libel the Bible.
Yahweh wants everyone to know how loving and compassionate he is so badly that he orders anyone that doesn't take atonement seriously to be forever cast out, away from their family and nation.
I became convinced Yahweh is a steampunk version of Phileas Fogg from the Milky Way's Delta Quadrant.
Yahweh detailed what a Seder dinner should look like. Or else.
Rusty ranted about objectivism and Ayn Rand.
That's Ein.
Whatever. Are we done yet?
Nah, man, we're only just beginning.
And now, episode 29 of Libel the Bible. Told you, man.
I'm on.
You are on. You got a hot mic.
Nice. What's going on, everybody? Welcome.
Nothing much.
Welcome to episode 29 of Libel the Bible. How's it going, Scott?
It's freaking hot in here, man.
It's a little hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? We'll survive.
Right. Can I comment on the previously on?
You can comment on anything you want.
Yeah, you're kind of sensitive. You're a sensitive guy sometimes, and so I'm judging your mood. Adding a previously on.
So wait. So you can.
See, I can't finish talking.
So then you can comment, but do you really mean like, can I comment on something without a massive reaction from you? Because that's really the issue. The issue isn't that you're commenting.
Yeah,
the issue is you're afraid of my response.
Are you feeling ultra sensitive tonight?
No.
All right, cool, man. During the previously on, I read. Does our audience know that part's scripted? Like we write that down before?
I mean, they might think we're that witty.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I said during the previously on, adding a previously on was your idea. And I'm pretty sure it was not your idea, man.
Okay. All right. I mean, I remember it as my idea. I remember the genesis of it. We were doing it was the start of episode 6 or 7 or whatever. And we meandered on talking about what we talked about the last episode. It was 20, 30 minutes, the discussion. And you were that was no good. We need to edit that down. That whole previously on conversation. And then I came in and I was like, let's do a previously on.
Oh, so I described doing a previously on and you said, let's do a previously on. And now you're taking credit for coming up with the previously on idea?
When you listen back, because you will, you find the words or sentence that I just said where I indicated that you suggested a previously on. I just said you didn't like our conversation that we had of the previously on, that it was clunky, it was long, it was unnecessary, and then I decided to start scripting previously ons, which you, by the way, it took about 10 episodes for you to start taking seriously and for you to start reading properly. Because if anyone goes back to the first episodes that we started using previously on, you're sweating, Scott? Scott's all sweating, wiping sweat off his brow. Oh, is it getting too hot in here now?
I don't know. We're going to have to go back. And
so anyway.
You might have come up with the idea of scripting it.
So go back and listen to any of the early previously ons and how monotone and fast Scott reads through the script.
Stop deflecting that I did the previous on poorly. I'm just talking about the idea of the previous.
It's very possible that you came up with the idea. That's not how I remember it, but it's very possible.
Oh no! So
I come up with memories to aggrandize myself.
Yeah. Kind of Yahweh-ish.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not murdering anyone. I'm not killing anyone. I'm not shunning anyone
not
for
that
life.
we've been able to prove as of yet.
Well, in this country, that's all that matters.
True. So, what's going on in the world? Are we talking about that? Oh, I meant to mention last week Did you see in Derbyshire, which I guess is it's got to be England, right?
Okay. Yeah, like everything's Shire. Yeah. Everyone lives like with hobbits.
Somebody vandalized a fast food restaurant because
I didn't see.
They had a sandwich on the menu called the Jesus Christ. It's a very cheesy sandwich, I guess.
That's great.
So yeah, they got vandalized because of it.
Because somebody was offended by the Jesus
like
Christ.
Some church, I think, sent them a cease and desist on their menu.
So of course,
something.
Anyone who loves Jesus so much and follows the teachings of Jesus, which I believe inspired Gandhi and Martin Luther King, like nonviolence, like peaceful protest. They love Jesus so much that they vandalize the business to show their displeasure.
Well, it's kind of blasphemous.
That
right?
makes a lot of sense.
Isn't it blasphemous though? Kind of.
Well, if you think the cheese is blasphemous, your actions are probably blasphemous. They're going against Christ's teachings, which we haven't gotten to yet. Right. I don't know who Christ is. Right. Who's Christ? So I've had a lot of time to think about the scope of religion and God and the universe because of the James Webb this week. Yeah. James Webb released some photos.
Did you saw the really deep field?
Yes, that was the first one they released.
No, they released another one. It was like the really, really deep field, and sure enough, you can make out in the center of it like this dude with white flowing robes and flowing white hair. He's out there.
You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna place that with that first photograph from Pathfinder with Marvin like peeking in.
Marvin the Martian.
Yeah. I believe those two are in the same file folder over at the Pentagon. So, so the first image that was released by the web was like the deep field. It's basically like a photo if you held up a grain of sand at arm's length and held it up to the sky. That's the amount of sky that photo covers. It's filled with galaxies that are 13.5 billion like years away from us.
Insane.
It's like pretty much the beginning
at the speed of light.
The beginning of the universe.
Not the way not by car.
I'm sorry. Say that again. What do you mean?
13.8 billion years away from us.
I said they're 13.5
billion.
13.5 light years away from us. I'm sorry.
Clarify, man.
Right, which is pretty much the beginning of the universe.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. What do you mean maybe?
I mean, how do you count that it only started like 6,000 years ago? I don't know.
Well,
what you're saying and what we're talking about here is not jiving.
I don't, because I'm not familiar with like advanced geometry and trigonometry, right? But there are very like bright men who laid the foundation, right? Like Newton,
men, huh?
Right, created like calculus.
How about some women?
And that allowed women too, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the patriarchy that we grew up in didn't really teach us about all the women. It didn't teach us about the female computers that helped like launch like the first rockets.
Oh, the human computers.
They were called computers.
Yes, I know.
Because they computed mathematical problems, right, in order to solve.
Do you remember when they came up with the first picture of a black hole when they released that?
Yes,
and it was like a young woman that was kind of became the face of it,
of
just
course.
Because.
Of course,
and she got so much shade.
Well, I don't think she was one of the people that worked on the team. She was from MIT
or something. She was part of the team. Yeah.
Yes,
but people like giving her hate, like she was trying to take credit for the whole thing,
right.
And she was like, "I was just a member of the team. It just happened to be my picture that got out there."
Right.
Right. So people gave her a lot of shit.
I believe her team came up with the concept of like positioning like the telescopes like all around like the planet. In order, I think like they worked on that math. Whatever. It's crazy to think about. So the point being, Webb released these images. It released that initial deep field. Then it released some like other stuff. It showed like an exoplanet and its like atmosphere. Right.
I liked how they and I didn't realize at first that the first picture they released was also part of the sky that Hubble took a picture of.
Yes.
And so they could compare it.
Yes.
And it's literally night and day.
Yes.
It's amazing.
One of our friends thinks the Hubble is more, what did he say, nuanced?
More nuanced.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means. It's certainly not more nuanced. It's more blurry, and you can't see, like, any of the galaxies.
Yeah.
What you could see is, like, some of the stars in infrared, you know what I mean? but you can't see any of the galaxies. So it was incredible, and it's only the beginning.
Only the beginning.
Only the beginning, right.
What I like the fact is, like, you remember the first pictures that came back from Hubble?
Yes, they were blurry. It needed, right.
You got to put glasses on that thing.
Yeah, it needed glasses.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I guess that got me to thinking about how ridiculous the notion of the Bible is, in the sense that, like, if God exists, he's created this, like, infinite universe, but he's busy, like, giving instructions to, like, hairless apes on this little ball at the edge of an arm of a galaxy in an infinite sea of galaxies.
If you believe what the science is shoveling. Like, were you up there? Did you see this thing up there?
I mean, yes. So I guess I have to have faith, just like someone who believes in the biblical God. I have to have faith. But my faith is in actual living people, like the scientists, and my faith is in humanity's stupidity. In other words, if this is all a conspiracy, right? Somewhere along the line, someone would have fucked up and, like, we would have found out that it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, but in this day and age, it doesn't matter how many facts come out, because someone's going to be say the conspiracy theory was a conspiracy theory.
Right.
The revealing that it's a conspiracy theory is a conspiracy theory.
Right. Well, in fairness, feelings are more important than facts, I think, nowadays.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
How I feel. Like, I feel like the James Webb Telescope pictures are fake and computer generated, so they must be.
They must be, yeah. And, God forbid we say, fuck your feelings to anybody these days. It was cool when it was being said a couple years ago from one group to another group.
Right.
But now when the shoe's on the other foot,
right.
Now all of a sudden feelings matter.
Right. I mean,
Ban
again,
some books.
It's such an unnuanced thing to say, to fuck your feelings. Like, yeah, there's definitely times to say fuck your feelings, but as like a slogan, as like a catch-all, like it's cold-hearted. It's not human. And it's not very Christian-like.
It's not human.
Fuck your feelings.
It's not human, especially when you give me shit like when I run over your kid. Like, right? Like, the fuck, you can go back in your fucking house.
When you run over someone's kid?
Yeah, fuck your feelings. Sorry, you got hit by a car. What the fuck you want me to tell you?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, this is what they want. Oh, nice. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
I am drinking Folk and Fable Cabernet Sauvignon. Back to the red.
Nice. Back to the Cabernet, too. Is it a California Cabernet?
It is. It doesn't even exist because this name is Folk and Fable, so it's like really not here. It is California,
Yeah. California has the best Cabernets.
Do they?
I think yes.
Yeah,
I think also, like, critically also.
Yeah, I was thinking Malbecs from Argentina.
Yeah, they're South America. They grow like in like higher altitudes, like rocky or like soil, I think.
So I told you I'm part of this wine club. You're supposed to rate the wines.
Yes.
And I never have. So I haven't tweaked the wines. I'm still getting like wines. I'm like, hey, what's
Is this it? This is one of the wines from the wine club?
Oh, yeah. That's all I use now.
Yeah.
I don't buy the case anymore.
What else? What else has happened? Today, Donald Trump's first wife died, Ivana Trump. Yeah.
The wrong parent of those children, huh?
What's that?
The wrong parent of those children.
The wrong parent? Yeah. What do you mean?
The wrong parent died.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Fuck your feelings.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you weigh someone's impact on the planet against that person's death, plus how long that person has been on the planet, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not a difficult math equation, It's not a difficult answer that, yeah, like if he dies, like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, right?
I think you should release that equation, like your version of the
You
Drake.
think so?
Like the Drake equation.
I should come up with like a math book. Like it would be my hate math book, and it's like how to come up with like the proper calculations for like who like I want to just like disappear, who should like die, who should suffer.
Would that be banned?
By Twitter?
No, not by Twitter. By the people that ban books, would that be banned? I guess it depends who you specify you want to die.
It depends on which side that's banning the books, because it seems like it used to be traditionally the right that like to like burn books and ban books, but now more and more the left is starting to say what's acceptable.
Oh, really?
Not so much
I'm really thinking about the whole just Florida and Texas thing that I've been listening to.
No, and I think the left is becoming somewhat fascist.
Nice.
Like, I mean, they like raise their pitchforks on Twitter every time someone says something odious.
Odious.
I mean, if people aren't allowed to say odious shit, then what do we have? You know what I mean? People must be allowed to speak, even if they're pieces of shit.
So when you join Twitter, you get a pitchfork? Like, what do you...
Go on Twitter and start looking at people's bios. People love to virtue signal in their bio. Like, their bio
of course.
will be like every single, like, marginalized group that they support. Like, this particular group, everyone has, like, a symbol, an emoji. They've got, like, 15 flags. From the pride flag to the trans flag. They'll tell you like they're triple boosted and vaxxed and fucking. It's just their entire bio has nothing to do with them. It's just like their politics.
I have to say, I was on Twitter last night and I came across Marco Rubio. And I saw like in his like I don't know what do you call it, his description or whatever.
Yeah.
It's first thing, Christian, father, husband, American.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, maybe you got them out of order, like the proper order?
Christian was the first one.
The first one.
Well, I mean, God goes first, right?
Okay. And then your wife and kids.
Like Abraham taught us.
Then your wife and kids?
Well, Abraham.
And then your country?
Abraham taught us.
Which is fine. Listen, that could be you, but should those things in that order be who's representing our country?
All right, make an argument. What should go first?
If you're a politician, America.
America.
Even if you're lying.
America should go first.
America first, baby.
If you're a politician. Well, apparently not for these people that voted him in.
No. Well, they claim America first a lot, but there's nothing first.
I see where you're going with this. Well, in fairness, I believe Jesus endorsed the Republican Party.
Probably.
So America first is the same as synonymous with Christianity, I think, to these people. Like, you can't separate America from Christianity. They're entwined. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think so?
Okay. Oh, by the way, in the country section on our website with all the different flags of the countries that have joined us, when you click on it now, it brings you right to the religious page on Wikipedia for that country.
Are you late? Are you
for
in
what?
a race? I don't know. It seems like you're talking very fast. Like,
was I?
Yeah, it's almost like you had like 10 seconds to like tell people about the flag link, and then like you rushed through that quite quickly.
Sorry.
I mean, listen, you speak at your pace.
I'm just saying. The flags, it'll give you the religious breakdown of the country in question.
Some of our listeners have messaged me, and I've seen their tenuous grasp of the English language, and I would just suggest to you that you might want to slow things down for them. I'm not like dissing all of them. I'm just saying I've read some of their messages.
Well, you know what the good thing about this is, though? Yeah. Even if you are dissing all of them, every week you're dissing less and less of them.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. Look, we have to weed out the weaklings, all right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hope none of them have spots.
And whatever, we'll get them all up against that wall.
So what's up, man? You want to hit the Bible, man? We should tell them now.
Oh, look,
Leviticus fans out there, you're either going to be mad or you're going to be happy. I think you're gonna get hyped because we said this was going to be the last Leviticus episode, but it's really now it's the penultimate.
Yes, we decided to split it up.
Yeah,
we were gonna do 24 through 27, but we decided 24 and 25 tonight.
Yeah, so if you were thinking this was the last chance to listen to Leviticus, nope, you got one more. If you're tired of Leviticus, well, you got to wait another week.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it reminds me of Roger Waters. Roger Waters is starting a tour this week, and at the beginning of like each show, he has like a little message for people, and one of them being that if you're just here because you're a fan of Pink Floyd, but you don't like Roger's politics and wish he would just like sing, you can go fuck off
at the bar.
Well, wherever. I'm just saying, if you're here for Leviticus only, and not to share in the journey, and you just want to get to the end of Leviticus, you can fuck off until the next episode.
Oh, another change to the website I made. When the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram logos, it said interact with us with those. I changed that because nobody fucking wants to interact with us. I said join the conversation.
That's true. Right. Plus, I'm not sure I want to interact with people.
No, don't
I would like to talk at people.
Yes, you're good at that. I mean, It's kind of what you do.
Yes. I would like to pretend they're just like punching bags, for my vitriol.
Listen, I learned long ago into this that I'm here to provide the microphones and the equipment.
All right, so we're going to do Leviticus 24 and 25, and Leviticus 24 starts with a section titled The Lamp.
So I thought Moses was going to be like, I'm lamping, I'm cold lamping.
No, it's just like a lamp, right? To light like the tabernacle throughout the night.
Yeah. Yeah, so he wants everybody to come and bring the oil of beaten olives for the lamp.
It's that ice cream truck again.
Holy crap, it is the ice cream truck again.
Yeah, we heard it. We heard a little bit of it like bleed through into the last episode, but it's fine.
It's all right, it's summertime.
Yeah, we're just going to power through that.
Living is easy.
Yeah.
So do you think beaten olives doesn't really mean olives? Like maybe it's like a derogatory name for a person, like a type of person. Like beat the oil out of them olives and like
you think they're Italian? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I wasn't saying that.
Oh. Because that used to be, that was like the slur. The slur was like, your greasy like olive oil hair.
Oh sure.
Like shit like that, yeah. I think there was like there was like a line like that in Godfather or Godfather 2, one of those.
Nice. For those of you not up to date on your racial slurs, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I'm perfect. We know them all.
Yeah, all right. And that's so the lamp can burn from evening to morning forever.
Forever.
And it's a pure gold lampstand, by the way.
It's like the first, like, it's basically like what the Olympic flame wants to be.
Right, but see, it sounded like it was supposed to be lit all the time, but then he was kind of specific about evening to daytime. Like, don't waste the energy during the day.
I think God gets like super excited. Yahweh, he gets super excited about like relaying like information, but then like it peters out. Like he forgets like certain things. He's like he can't keep up with everything.
You know what I thought this was? I thought it was going to be like a pilot light, like a little flame burner.
Right, so you could just like turn on like a burner. Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like to vaporize people that ain't supposed to be there, or maybe they'll spark up the engines in a quick hurry when they finally realize they're being conned.
Right.
Yeah. That brings us to the bread of the tabernacle. Bread for the tabernacle.
The bread for the tabernacle, right.
12 loaves. 2 rows of 6.
I mean, yeah, he gets specific.
On a table of pure gold.
Yeah.
Now, if any metallurgists out there, I thought like pure gold was pretty malleable. Like it's pretty soft.
Okay.
Like to have a table made of gold and a lampstand out of pure gold might not be the best idea.
I think that like gold that gets, I guess mined or dug, it's hard. It's like they're like rocks, right? They're nuggets.
Yeah, they're within other materials. So, but like when you extract it and you purify it and you have just pure gold, it's not hard at all.
Oh, right. Okay, right. The purer the gold, the softer and more malleable it is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
I think the James Webb Telescope mirrors are coated in gold. Actually,
Are they?
I think so.
I don't know what they're coated in.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if they melted down the lampstand.
Why do you think God? I keep saying God, but you have a whiteboard that says "Don't say God."
Put that up there today.
I'm going to have to start using that. And I don't know why I keep saying God. I guess I'm saying God, not so much from my perspective, but from other people's perspectives, because I guess this is being addressed to anyone right now who's listening who might believe in this thing being God, you know?
I really wish we had more contact with our audience, because I would really like to know if anybody that really believes in God is listening to us clowns at this point.
Well, even if they're not listening now, like live, maybe like in a year or 2 years or whatever, you know, someone's gonna listen to it that does believe in God eventually.
Yeah, accidentally.
If not in this universe, then in another universe, you know what I mean? Why Leviticus? Like, what is Leviticus? Do you know what the purpose is? So, like, they arrived at Mount Sinai, right? Mm-hmm. What is the whole point of Leviticus? Have you, like, reached that conclusion?
No, it's just, like, instructions so far.
Why?
It's a rally point. And it's like the seminar, not the seminar. It's like the orientation when you go on something. Like, everybody meet up. We're gonna orient you on all this stuff and then set you out on your way.
Right, but an orientation prepares you, like, if you're in management, like, it'll, like, you get sent on your way and you're a better manager. It teaches you, like, strategies, right? What is this specifically for? Like, what is the purpose of Leviticus?
Well, a lot of this isn't for all the people. It's like basically Moses, Aaron, and the priest are pretty much getting the orientation.
Okay, but they have to pass down, like, rituals and, like, rites to the people.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of Exodus, Yahweh wanted to fucking kill everybody. You remember?
Yeah.
Because, like, they constructed, like, that golden calf, and Aaron was like, oh, you know, I was suckered into it. Like, I didn't know. I just, like, I put a mold in the fire, and it came out, like, miraculously.
You know. I said back then, I think I said Aaron was a punk, but I can understand, like, because the punishment's ridiculous. F that, man.
Yeah, plus he's down there with the people while Moses is doing God knows what,
That's
like,
true.
with God.
And
he's like, disappeared.
He's got 300,000 people yelling
Yeah,
at him.
no, he's got to keep them happy, right?
Yeah.
He's got to, like, prevent the riot. You do what you got to do. You're like, it's like emergency,
right? You
right?
survive the encounter.
Okay, so Yahweh is pissed. He wants to kill everybody, right? And the whole thing leading up to that was Yahweh was like, you're my people. I'm going to be traveling with you now. I need you to build, like, this, like, remember he gave all these instructions at the very end, like, starting with, like, Exodus, like, 20 or whatever. For, like, 10 chapters, we were reading about the construction instructions for the tabernacle. He was going to be with them, right? Moses convinces him not to kill everybody, right? And God is like, yo, I guess I can travel with you, but it's going to take everything that I have within my willpower not to fuck you people up. I'm pretty sure all of Leviticus is like, yo, a contract. Like, these are the things you got to do to prove to me and make me happy, because I'm, like, super, like, OCD, and I'm super particular about everything. This is how you have to live in order for me not to fucking kill you and live with you, be with you.
It's technically like, follow these rules or you'll be fired, like, literally on fire, because I'm going to burn you with my exhaust.
So he uses his holiness, right? Holiness. I don't even know how to define holiness.
Sanitized, clean.
Right, you defined it as being sanitized and clean.
Getting back to you,
not like standing apart from, like, being better than.
Isn't that like consecrated?
So either way, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You wanted to say something.
No, I was just when God said, you're gonna go on this trip, and I'm gonna be there. Do you think, like, he was standing, like, at the ellipsis saying, and we're gonna march to Canaan? And I'm going to be there with you.
I don't know what that is. What's that from?
January 6th. What he's like, we're going to march on the Capitol.
The ellipsis?
The ellipsis, where maybe a certain former guy was having a speech.
I didn't know it was called the ellipsis. What's the ellipsis?
I don't know.
Where is that?
It's not far from the Capitol. It's walking distance, I guess.
I never heard that. The ellipsis. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just never heard that term.
All right, well, forget the fact. All right, pretend I didn't say ellipsis. What if I just said some guy said?
So you're comparing Yahweh to Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Yahweh's worse.
I wasn't really comparing him to Trump. I was just making a joke, man.
I know. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, I had to think about it for a second. I think Yahweh's a little worse. Yeah. But Trump's still got time. He's still got time.
I mean, how many people died because of the lack of belief in the coronavirus? I mean, that's it. I mean,
you know what?
Maybe not a direct murder, but
Trump will probably never kill as many people like Yahweh killed everyone. Like everyone.
Yeah, but maybe proportionally he's not going to kill as many people, but maybe judging by the amount of people that were on the earth that God killed,
right? He
killed and a million coronavirus deaths,
right?
How many people did God kill so far?
That's another thing that we have to think about. Is that person or thing or entity that killed everyone with the flood story, was that this Yahweh? Or is Yahweh someone who, like, basically is taking advantage of a folk tale?
Yeah, it always, man.
Right. So the whole thing about Leviticus is God is giving the Israelites instructions for how to behave, how to act, how to perform rituals so that they know, this is how serious this is. And if you want me in your lives, because you want me in your lives, because I'm so fucking great. Like, he's even written rap songs, right? He's like spinning lyrics about how fucking dope he is.
And he also did the modern, like, Latin X raps of Lin-Wen, and him.
Yeah,
the Miranda.
The stylings of, right.
The style of Hamilton.
And it's basically like, at this point, I'm so great, you want to be around me. So this is what you have to do to keep me around, because I'm wonderful. But if you don't do these things, I'm going to kill you.
Yo, what do you say to an Israelite with two black eyes? Should have listened to Yahweh the first time.
No, you can't tell them nothing. They've already been told twice.
Oh, right,
yeah. So Yahweh is an abusive. He's basically holding these people hostage, and at this point, anyone who's like into Yahweh is suffering from Stockholm syndrome.
Probably, and I hope they're suffering from it. That's kind of when you bond with your hostage taker.
Yes, because
at least if you think you've bonded with your hostage taker, it's not so bad. Where in reality, you're just doing what he says because, motherfucker, you're going to get burned up.
Right.
Like, you're living in fear.
So
if you can turn that around into, he hits me because he loves me.
Right. So that's the thing, right? It's crazy because your only incentive for worshiping this entity is fear at this point, right? Like, there's no other incentive. Like, if you don't follow these rules, you will be shunned from your community. Or worse, like, you'll die. Like, you'll either be stoned or burnt or whatever the punishment is, like whatever arbitrary punishment for whatever arbitrary crime.
They've made references a couple of times. Yo, we were better off in Egypt at this point.
So we're almost 3 books down. Yeah. And there is no reason. We're centuries in. Yahweh's introduced himself. We're centuries in. Right? And by the way, he chose like Abraham out of the blue. Abraham wasn't even worshiping Yahweh.
Right place, right time.
He just liked them. Yeah. He just liked them. Like, there was no example given to us why Yahweh liked Abraham.
Love is love, man. Why's he got to justify? Like, why? Why do you need to know why?
I guess I don't. I mean, it would be nice within the context of this book that wants me to believe in this all-powerful, all-knowing entity that created the world and wants to give me its love and salvation and, like,
I'd be upset if this was presented as a love story. I'd be upset not knowing, but it's not really being presented as a love story.
It is a love story. God loves you.
I have not seen any evidence of that yet. Has he even said that yet? Has he used the word love in reference to humans yet?
I think that might be Jesus.
Right.
No, he's actually used the opposite. He fucking hates us, and he used the term. What were the Israelites? I forgot what he called them. Not pig-headed, but you remember?
Yeah, it was a funny term.
Yeah, like, no. So he does not like people. Even after he killed everyone on the planet, he told Moses, like, I was wrong to kill everyone, but, like, I really don't want to be, like, I don't like people.
All right, so getting back to the loaves of bread. There's 2 rows of 6 on top of the table of pure gold, and he wants pure frankincense on top as a token offering. And the bread will be a fiery offering for every Sabbath forever. So here's a new one. I don't think I've heard token offering yet.
Token offering. Is it like a token, or like a token meaning like...
Is frankincense like an herb?
It sounds like it. Yeah, it's like potpourri.
If you smoked it, would you be like token it?
I don't know.
So it's like a token offering, not a token.
A token offering. Yeah. All right.
Let's move on, man.
Blasphemy and its punishment, or you have more?
No, that's good. No, let's get to blasphemy and its punishment. Right. This is good stuff, man.
So
this is actually a story.
Leviticus 24, verse 17, and then Scott can get into it. Blasphemy and its punishment. Anyone who kills a human being shall be put to death. Anyone who kills an animal shall make restitution for it, life for life. Anyone who maims another shall suffer the same injury in return. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The injury inflicted is the injury to be suffered.
Okay, I like that. What you did was you read something. Now this was like a TV show or something. It would say earlier that day.
That's right. So
now we're gonna go back to why that was said, because a little story was told.
Go ahead.
So some dude who had a Israelite mother, an Egyptian father, so I guess he's half Israeli, half Egyptian.
Yeah, alien.
Gets into a fight with a certain Israelite.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not leaving it out. That's what the Bible says. A certain Israelite. So to me, there's a cover-up right there. What do you mean a certain Israelite?
Right. Sounds
like somebody specific.
Mm-hmm.
So in the fight, I'm going to call it, no offense to anybody, the half-breed that they're talking about, blasphemed the name.
Mm-hmm.
Name, capital N. So I guess he said
something
about Yahweh.
It's not even defined. Like, what is blasphemy?
I gotta say, did he say Jesus fucking Christ? Well, no, we don't know Jesus Christ yet.
Probably like because he's half Egyptian, right? Who knows how he was raised? So the person he got into a fight with was probably like Yahweh, 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 and this like half Egyptian was like, "Yeah, man, I am so fucking tired of hearing about this Yahweh. What has Yahweh gotten us?" It's just like questioning Yahweh. It's just talking shit about Yahweh is blasphemy.
Until
you can't doubt Yahweh.
Until he was like, "All hail Anubis." Yeah. So, not knowing what to do, they arrest the guy, and they put him in custody, keep him in custody until the Lord tells him what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get into what the Lord tells him to do?
No.
Oh, well.
You go.
All right. So everybody who heard the blasphemy, first of all, they got to take the guy outside the camp.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who heard the blasphemy have to put their hands on his head. It doesn't go into detail like how many people heard this. Let's say 10.
Right.
Might have been more.
Right.
It was a fight.
Yeah.
If it was a long-lasting fight, people gathered around. Yo,
right.
fight,
people
fight,
noticed
fight.
the commotion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, kick his ass.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Yeah, so then the entire congregation has to gather around and stone him to death.
Yep.
Is that while the people that heard him got their hands on his head? Like, you got to have, like, a pretty accurate arm? Like, motherfucker him, not me. Like, do they have to hold his head?
I don't know.
And did they bury him up to his neck, like in modern stones?
I don't know.
Or they just...
I would say no. I would say the first stonings, no. And then they figured out, you know what? Like, people tend to struggle and fight a lot, like, when you're trying to stone them. Because that's the thing, right? Maybe you got to hold them for them to get stoned.
Oh,
otherwise,
okay.
why would you stand there as people are, like, chucking?
So maybe the people that hurt him are holding him, restraining him.
Right.
That's the term for it. And I am sure a lot of innocents, in quotes, like, got hit by rocks because, like, not a... I wonder if this is how they recruited for, like, their softball team or their baseball team, like, whoever had the most accurate stone throw.
That's probably how softball started. That's a revelation.
No, man. You don't understand revelations, man.
Maybe that's where the term stone came from. Because after, like, you were really stoned, you know, like, after, like, 5 or 6 rocks, you'd be like, duh. Yeah.
So I wonder how much collateral damage was there.
From, like, people getting, like... pelted.
Yeah. You see me throw.
Well, that's probably when they decided, like, let's start burying these people up to their necks. Plus, like, it'll help the kids get involved. The kids can, like, you know, stone the guy on the ground, you know?
Yeah, so Moses comes out, and he says, all right, it'll be done, and he tells the people what needs to be done. And this is, once again, I'm wondering, did God really say this, or was this just Moses' bloodlust?
Just Moses.
Oh, I was just talking with Yahweh, and he said, we got to stone this motherfucker.
Well, in fairness, in the book itself, each section starts, God or the Lord spoke these words to, like, Moses.
Yeah. Moses could just be saying, like, anything he wants.
Well, Moses isn't the author.
Well, wait. If Yahweh told Moses, and Moses told the people, so these people still haven't heard the word of God. They're hearing it through the grapevine.
That's not true. They have heard the word of God. Remember, God,
in
like, descended, like thunder, lightning. Like, he's spoken to them.
But like, this particular time, you don't think the rest of the people heard, right? It was just him talking to Moses.
They can't handle it. They can't handle, like, God's, like, too powerful, like, blah, blah, blah. There's always, like, excuses.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
just wondering at this point, you know how I feel about Moses. I'm just wondering at this point, maybe Yahweh's getting a bad rap, and it's Moses kind of twisting his
listen,
words.
I love the fact that you're crawling up Moses' ass. You want to make sure, like, he's not the one that's, like, coming down with these edicts.
Because either one of two things is going on here with Moses. Moses is either twisting the word to his own, satisfy his own bloodlust, or he's just so ridiculously compliant.
Yeah.
But no, there was evidence that he stood up to God.
Well, don't forget, one of our options for why this wouldn't be a god, or one of our alternatives, was that Aaron and Moses are, like, conning everybody. Remember, like, it all started with, like, those tricks, the water into blood, the snakes, like, you know, like, all that stuff.
Yeah. Right. So this is God's first atrocity in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he hasn't been too bad.
Well, I mean, he sort of sanctioned Moses's 3,000, like, murder spree. He was happy with that.
He didn't ask for it, but he didn't speak out against it either.
Well, he was going to kill everybody. And that was like Moses' way of appeasing him, I guess.
Yeah, but no, we talked about this. But God was all right killing nobody.
Right.
He didn't say, I'm going to kill 3,000.
Yeah.
He did that on his own.
Yeah. He knew what God wanted. He knew, like, God, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's why he broke into the cockpit of the plane and flew it into,
yes.
Because he knew what God wanted.
Yep. All right.
Done with that atrocity. The sabbatical year.
The sabbatical year. That's Leviticus 25. So we're now in Leviticus 25. I know how much Scott likes to mention, you know, as we move from chapter to chapter. Let me read Leviticus 25, verse 2. Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land that I am giving you, the land shall observe a Sabbath for the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard, and gather in their yield. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of the complete rest for the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. So now this is going to lead us to some important, like, rites and rituals and, like, rules, right, for the rest of Leviticus 25. But again, he starts off by promising the Israelites this land, right? And earlier we were like, what's the only promise that he's made? You know, like, why would anyone worship him? And this is it. This is actually, he's promised something material, right? Like, he started with Abraham.
Is this the promised land that everybody talked about?
Well, yes. One day, like, I'm going to give you, like, you know, your people will have, like, this land. So for centuries now, the only reason that you would worship him is for this land, but he's been
enticing you.
But he's been stringing you along like this whole time. Like
he's a carrot on a string.
He's been playing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He's like Lucy with the football. Kick it, Charlie. Go ahead.
The Israelites are the donkey. God is the stick in the string, and Canaan's the carrot hanging in front of them.
Yeah. Oh, right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So the sabbatical year.
So there was, I had a little confusion about this because I thought it was like for 6 years you sow and then 1 year the land lays fallow, but I crossed that out because no, they still had to eat. They just weren't to actively farm it. Whatever came out of the ground without like repeated harvests and everything, that was fine.
That might be the case, but I also
eat what the land gives you in the 7th year.
I thought I read a part which we'll get to later. I forgot where.
He revises it slightly.
Where basically he says, I think verse 18 to 24, we'll get to that, where he says something like basically, you know, in your 6th year, don't worry, I'll provide. The farming will be so fucking fantastic. You're going to have like enough of a surplus for like the next 2 years. Yeah. So you want to get to the year of the Jubilee?
Jubilee.
The year of the Jubilee. You know what Jubilee means, by the way? I looked it up. It's a Hebrew word, Jubilee.
I used to go to a jamboree when I was a Boy Scout.
It might be like a jamboree, except with a jamboree, what's the instrument that you normally would typically see at a jamboree?
I'm thinking some sort of weird stringed instrument, like
a
banjo.
That's like a banjo. Yeah. Well, a jubilee is also an instrument in Hebrew. What's so funny? A Jew, because I said Jew.
Jubilee.
I mean, that's the way you heard it. I didn't like really think I said it like that, but okay. Weird thing to laugh at, Scott. So the year of Jubilee. Jubilee means a ram's horn. So you know how they blow that? We talked about this. Like
Ricola.
Right. So we talked about this the last episode, like during Passover, I think. They blow like the ram's horn. So that's what Jubilee means.
I was thinking maybe somebody, Jubilee what he did over there?
But the year of Jubilee seems like it's... I'm going to ignore all your dad jokes. All your puns, all your dad jokes. I'm just gonna plow through it.
Not on the 7th year, you won't.
Well, not in the 50th year. I might have to laugh because apparently that's like, so the 50th year is where it's at, right? It seems like the 50th year, according to verse 10, Leviticus 25, and you shall hallow the 50th year. And you shall proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. And
all of them, huh?
It goes on. No, it goes on. Like there's a whole list of like the Jubilee year, and like people get freed.
Not all people.
Like all your debts get taken care of.
So I find it really weird how he got to the 50th year. Because he was like, you know, make years like weeks and weeks like years. On the 7th week of the basically, it was like 7 times 7 equals 49. He went into this long. It was like math not a thing back then. Like he had to break it down into like terms they could understand.
I don't know. And why all of a sudden like a nice round number like 50? Everything else was like, you know, these weird like numbers. You know, not like top 10. It was like top 8.
Yeah.
But now it's like 50.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Because 7 times 7 is 49.
You know why? I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, don't you see what's going on?
Oh, I think when you go further on, it's going to be quite a...
It's basically like your theory. He's like... He's having them gather all this shit for him and his people aboard like the mothership for their journey back. right? And it's kind of like playing hide and seek with a child, but you have no intent of actually playing hide and seek, where you're like, go count
That ain't right.
to 10, and then you just leave the child. So he's like, the 50th year, there's going to be like all this great shit. There'll be like a Jubilee.
And you know, on the Jubilee, you have to all return to your family and your ancestral lands. Mm-hmm. It's like almost like everybody's got to leave while I take care of some shit again.
Yeah. I mean, he does give some decent advice, though, right? In verse 13, he's basically like, don't cheat each other. He tells them like how to treat each other properly, right?
It's like specifically like selling shit. So I was like, is that only during the Jubilee year? Like, don't be a dick this year.
So that's what's weird, right? Like it does, like it's under the heading of the year of Jubilee. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is on a day-to-day or just the year of Jubilee.
This is some one big.
What do you think?
I don't know.
As I was reading it, I got the sense in general, because then he gets specific about like when it's the year of the Jubilee. Like he mentions it. So I'm going to say specifically he's just saying like don't cheat each other, like when you're making like deals and things like that.
Oh, so there's no working in that year. Everybody's off that year. There's no working the land that year.
Right. Even slaves have to be free.
So when he goes, don't cheat each other, do you think it's because like people are in a party mood, they're getting whacked all the time, so they're just looking to scheme on each other, or they've got time on their hands to scheme now? Like, you couldn't scheme when you were working the field 16 hours a day,
right,
to handling your business,
right? But
now you got time. Right. Now you're scheming on everything everybody else got.
Right.
So once again, he's got to remind these people, don't cheat people. So ain't the first, second, or third time he said this.
I think it's more about he's training them so that they're obedient and loyal and give him what he needs.
And can be trusted when he's not watching.
And like the more rules they have to learn, the less time they have to actually like learn like physics and math and like get out from under his yoke.
Yeah, you don't want to let them do that either.
Yeah,
start building towers and shit.
No, you want them like, you want them living in ignorance. And so you create like these ridiculous contradictory rules and laws that they all have to spend all day studying, because if they get something wrong, they're going to get killed.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Nah. So he had some confusing purchasing rules.
Uh-huh.
Like, if like you want to sell me your land, it had to be like the number of years since the Jubilee is the price of the land, and you're actually buying the number of harvests left until the next Jubilee or something.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
I try not to get hung up on like all that in the timeline. So like there was some parts where it was like, well, is it the year leading up to the Jubilee?
Right, I didn't understand that.
Or is it like the year of the Jubilee? I mean, look.
Translation after translation, it could have gotten lost.
Yeah, it could have been any of those things. But basically, like Yahweh establishes like rules for collateral, more or less, right? He's like, he uses the term sale. But it seems like what Yahweh says is, if you're in financial trouble, you can sell your home for money, but that house has to be sold back to you within like a year if you're able to buy it back. Yeah. So that's like collateral. So like if you need to borrow money, you put up your house as collateral. You have a year to buy it back.
Do you think Tom Selleck came down, like appeared in the bush and was like, and if I thought a reverse mortgage was any scam to take a
Is that the commercial that he's involved in?
Yeah.
Tom Selleck. It's funny because he's famously
stealing water.
I don't know if he's right wing, but he's famously like Republican.
Yeah.
So he's like one of those like few like, Hollywood actors that's openly Republican. And he plays like a commissioner, right? He's like the New York City police commissioner.
Yeah. Wasn't he accused of stealing water for like avocado plant trees or something in California?
Really?
Like he redirected rationed water
for his home.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was for his home or like some vineyard or
I don't know.
Orchard or something he owns. I think something like that.
It sounds like a scumbag move a Republican would make, right?
Ouch.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Nah, listen, it sounds like a lot of scumbags out there, regardless of political affiliation.
Sure. No, listen, 100%. But it sounds like something a Republican scumbag would do, right? I mean, come on.
So, all right. So it sounds like this. It sounds like if you're in dire straits, you sell me your land, and if Jubilee's in 10 years, I give you 10 years worth of pay for the land.
Is that what it is?
I think.
Okay.
It sounded like you pay from the time since the Jubilee, but that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Fair. All right, fair.
And he goes, because you're buying the number of harvests that are left in the land.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, fear me. Like he just randomly
always
throws
fear
out,
me.
like,
Always
just
fear
randomly
me.
throws that
right.
out. Because it's almost like somebody raises their hand in the seminar and goes, "I don't understand." He just goes, "Fear me." Okay,
right.
Hand down.
Right.
All right.
It's like, anyone have any questions? Yeah. What does Yahweh mean? And then like you're fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
any more questions?
yeah. Denied. So he says basically, follow my rules and you'll be good. That's basically what he says. Follow my rules, you'll be good, no matter how preposterous they sound. So then somebody goes, wait, one more question. What are we eating in the 7th year if we can't work the land?
Right. Well, that's when he says, he tells them, don't worry, I'm going to make sure that, your crops are growing plenty and you're going to have more than enough surplus, like heading into that 7th year.
The 6th year is going to be 3 years worth of stuff.
Yeah.
So then he gets very specific. He's like, so in the 6th year, you're going to eat the 6th-year crops. In the 7th year, when there's no crops, you're going to eat part 2 of the 6th-year crops. In year 8, you're going to eat part 3 of the 6th-year crops. You're going to eat old crops. Then in the 9th year, you start eating normal again. So I'm asking, where the fuck are the 8th-year crops going?
To him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then he's
Put those
got
crops in the cargo hold.
Then he's got like these weird rules about people who live in walled cities and like
before we get there, no land can be sold in I can't say that fucking
perpetuity.
Perpetuity, because you're all just tenants and aliens, and this is my land.
Right.
So he almost like lets you do shit to a limit. Just remember, this is my place.
Which is weird because he's been promising them their land, but now he's like altering the terms of the agreement.
Pray he doesn't alter it anymore.
There you go, Scott. It's been a while. So then he gives residents of walled cities instructions that they can sell their home and redeem it at any point during the year of Jubilee, right? So, in other words, again, like if you need like money up front.
No, you got it
no?
wrong. No.
Really?
First, getting back, he basically said land can be redeemed, and all land gets redeemed at Jubilee.
Okay.
But when you get to the walled cities, they're only redeemable for a year.
Right.
They can't be redeemed after that, even for Jubilee.
Right.
So you only have a year. If you live in a walled city, like a gated community, and you sell your shit, you only have a year to get it back.
Well, that makes sense, because if you're like in a walled city, you're part of like high society.
I was going to say that. It's different rules for different people.
Like, right. They don't want you, like, they don't want like the equivalent of like white flight in their walled cities, right? So there were like certain neighborhoods that they started like selling to, like, banks started selling to black people in order to drive down the prices of like the houses around so that the bank can either foreclose or buy it themselves and then basically like start reselling it.
I didn't think of it that way, but that makes sense. They're trying to maintain the status quo, like like
outside the city, you fucking peasants do whatever. Outside the walls of this city, do whatever the fuck you want.
He pretty much says that.
Yeah.
He calls it open country.
Right.
So basically, he's like, "Yo, if my man Robert Moses wants to come in and put a fucking highway, we're taking that shit."
Right. But I think he did have specific rules for farmers, right? He was like, you can't sell like farmland.
I didn't see that. He had separate rules for the Levites.
No, because farming is like necessary. You can't fuck around with like the farms.
I might have missed that page.
It needs to produce like food.
It would make sense, yeah.
Yeah. He goes on. he tells people not to profit off of the financial struggles of others, right? Like if others are
but
in...
wait. The Levites. They have, in their cities that are owned by them, or are considered theirs.
Well, they don't have any cities yet. That's the thing.
He's
This is like a future thing.
So now the Levites have forever redemption rights in their cities. I didn't understand what that meant.
Forever redemption rights?
Like, I can always come take my shit back. And I'm thinking, why...
If you're a Levite.
Why do the Levites have separate rules?
Because they're the priests.
No, they're not. Aaron was a Levite?
Yeah.
But they're not all fucking priests. Only like Aaron's kids are priests, not all the Levites.
Well, it's kind of like if you fuck up, I'm going to like ruin you for like the next 7 generations. If you're a priest, like your whole family's like, a friend of ours.
All right, so I'm thinking this. There is no way in all, someone as powerful as God, Yahweh, is going to get into the minutia of this shit. He already said, this is my land. I'm going to do what the fuck I want. You're the only tenants here.
Yeah.
And then like did a
So you think Moses is like cooking up like additional details?
I think a lobbyist like came into the council and they got paid well and said, "Well, what about the Levites?
All right.
Yo, us in the gated community?" And like there's
so the
different
Levites
levels,
were like hanging
tiers.
out by the campfire like at night while all this was going down,
sucking ass,
like
making deals,
rabble. Like someone like decided to unionize, rabble, right?
Exactly. This is all bullshit.
So you think the Levites are like the first union?
I think the first lobbyists.
The first lobby. Well, they hired someone to lobby to allow them, like, workers' rights.
I would say they had...
So that's good on them.
They must have had more... But they're not talking about workers' rights. They're talking about their ability to take their land back anytime they want.
Yeah.
That's not workers' rights. That's generational
that's
wealth protection.
Rights.
Protecting their generation.
You think it's like Levite privilege?
Yeah. It's bullshit.
Okay.
But if you live out in the open country...
I mean, listen, this is right.
Yeah, now we can get to, taking your kin in need.
Taking your kin in need?
That's what you were starting to talk about. Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah, I was talking about basically like if, an Israelite is destitute and struggling, like don't take advantage of them. Like help them out. Don't like charge them interest for anything you loan them. Just be fucking cool, man.
Yeah. Don't make a profit off the food you're getting. I mean, they're not saying don't charge the people, but like they got to pull their fair share.
Right.
They got to work the land. They got to do whatever they got to do. But
right.
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Even like slaves. Like if someone wants to sell themselves to you. He says, don't treat them like a slave. Treat them like hired workers.
Yeah, that's nice of him.
Yeah.
I gotta pull up because there was something I have a circular God statement written here.
Circular God statement.
2538. So I don't usually like to read, but I want to read this because
2538.
Where's 38?
That's the section that's basically don't profit off others' financial struggles, help out, and don't take interest.
Right. And then at the end of that, it's again like more fear shit. He says, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan to be your God.
Right.
He makes these circular statements.
Yes.
Like, what did he say last time?
So
like,
live
in a booth to prove that I made you live in a booth.
So that's what I was saying earlier when I was like, what is the incentive that he's giving you to like worship him? So he's telling you right there why you should worship him.
You should worship him because he brought you out to worship him. Yeah,
right.
Whatever.
It's like that. It's that meme that you sent me, where Jesus is knocking on a door and it's like, knock, knock. Who's there? It's Jesus. Let me in. Or what? Or, or I'm going to, what is it?
So I can save you.
Save me from what?
From what I'm going to do to you if you don't let me in.
Right.
Yeah, it's a racket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they don't. So anybody that sells themselves to you, it becomes like a hired hand, and they're free of Jubilee.
Israelites, specifically Israelites.
Yes,
if an Israelite sells themselves to you, right? Specifically.
Yeah, and they get to go free at the Jubilee.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense to me though, because all right, so they're free at the Jubilee, but if they haven't corrected their like financial problems,
yeah,
like there's still like did you get a check like on Jubilee?
I want you to imagine this, Scott. It's a game show. Think of Jeopardy, right? There's 3 contestants in Jeopardy.
Can I think of Mayim Bialik hosting?
And everyone plays the whole game, and one guy just gets every single goddamn question right and is like $75,000. Everyone else has $0.
Yeah.
And then Mayim Bialik is like, for the last Jeopardy question, winner takes all. This is going to be the $80,000 question.
Oh, no, that's bullshit.
Right, because one guy has like worked his ass off, right? Or lady, has worked their ass off the entire round. They've kicked ass, and now you're going to reduce it to this one thing, thereby rendering everything else meaningless, right? That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, how does that apply, though?
Well, what were we talking about?
We're talking about if you sell yourself to me like 5 years before the Jubilee, because you're
So it wipes out like the Jubilee. If you can survive until the Jubilee, like it wipes everything out. Like you can live like a piece of shit, like scamming people, borrowing money. You know what I mean? Like if you start like 5 years before the Jubilee and you could plan out your shit to like, if I fucking like take advantage of this guy for like the next 6 months and that guy for the next 8 months, like I could really ride my way to the Jubilee and then have all my debts like eliminated.
Yo, do you think this is not like completely analogous to like the American way of life? You are basically, unless you're born rich or somehow hit it rich, if you're just a working class stiff like us, like your whole game in life is to make it to like Social Security and Medicare. Whatever you got to do to survive up to that point, that's what you got to do. That's what the Jubilee is. Jubilee is retirement.
It's retirement from all the bullshit.
Do you think they all sit around and go, Jubilee, we made it this far?
Jubilee, you did that joke again?
Well, you didn't give it the proper credit the first time. Yeah, so
slaves should only be bought from neighboring nations.
Neighboring nations or the aliens in your place.
Right.
And they can be your property, and they can be passed down. And he doesn't say this specifically. He says the Israelites that are in your employ, you can't be harsh to them because they're Israelites. And he says that repeatedly. Mm-hmm. He doesn't specifically say because you can be harsh to the aliens and the foreigners, but that's what he's saying.
Right.
You can treat those people like shit.
It makes sense because you're around like the Israelites, like, if like they fulfilled their duty to you and they're going to go back to not being slaves anymore, you might have to like run into them at the market. So don't like fuck with them too much.
But you know what? Hey, Jubilee, man. All debts and all crimes are fucking forgiven.
So that's what I'm saying. So
remember the time I treated you like a dick? Yeah, it's all right.
No, but the slave isn't forgiving. The rule isn't for the slave to forgive the mistreatment and that happened upon him. The Jubilee is you as the slave owner now give up your slave. So the slave is going to have resentment if you're treating that slave like shit.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
It's
not a hard concept.
Let's get back to this concept of redemption. You're in trouble. I buy your house from you.
Well, here it's being used redeeming like a coupon or
I thought it meant basically like if I buy your house from you, but you really want it back, and your brother's got money to redeem it, he would pay me what I paid you for your house, and you get your house back. It's like a
bail. It's like being out on bail.
Do I have to sell it back?
If I'm assuming if the person the person whom the house belonged to, if that person has the money to buy the house back, it's your duty to sell it back to that person.
That's interesting. But what if like the guy wants to like just walk the earth? He doesn't want the house. He doesn't want, who's paying the bills? Like
like Caine and Kung Fu.
Yeah, just
walk the earth.
Yeah, you know you are. You're a bum.
Well, then that person doesn't need the house.
Because now I'm thinking. But now here's a scam. You're leaving. You sell me your house. You tell your brother, yo, I'm leaving. Just go redeem that shit for yourself. And now this guy I don't even know claims to be your brother. And now I have to get back the house?
Maybe
so is there a restocking fee? Like
at
least 10%?
Seal. There's like a seal. Your brother has like a special seal, and he like, you know.
Yeah, what if that seal is with the prostitute who was his daughter-in-law that he raped?
There's always a restocking fee, man. Always.
Yeah.
You're always paying someone. You're either paying a woman, or you're paying Yahweh.
Like if you sell me yourself to me, can we barter on what the terms of the labor agreement are? Like
yes.
what if I want you to be a prostitute for me?
Sure. It was like those two idiot brothers where one brother was like, if you give me some of this yummy soup, I'll give you all of my future inheritance.
I'm talking about sex trade, man.
I'm sure it works the same. Or specifically with me. Like, are you asking me like what it would take?
Man, you'd have to pay me. Not much though.
So I want to get back to one aspect of the slaves where Yahweh instructed that slaves should only be from neighboring nations. Why? Why do you think, like, not like from faraway places? Why neighboring nations?
I just think it was the travel time to faraway nations was inconvenient. So neighboring nations is pretty much the only nation.
But what if, like, you know, someone from the Far East, like, brings a caravan of slaves? Why can't I buy slaves from them?
But you still buy them from the neighboring nation because they'd be in the neighboring nation. It's not like you can you're gonna fly over to the Far East, grab somebody, and fly them back.
I just think this is more of like Yahweh's like white supremacy. There's a lot of like.
Do the Israelis look different than everybody else in the area?
I don't even think.
Remember, I said I don't know. Could you tell an Israeli from the Egyptian?
But
at the time?
Yahweh knows about people in Asia. Yahweh knows about people in Europe. You know, Yahweh knows about people in North America and South America.
How do you know he knows that?
Well, either Yahweh is God or Yahweh's like an alien who's like scouted the planet. So this being must know that eventually one day people are going to start like commerce with one another just like they did in that small section of the Fertile Crescent. That's going to expand. It's only logical, right? So he's saying don't take slaves because they believe in like other fucking gods, and he knows it's going to be problematic.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think like the people in like this region, they've already come to accept that like the Israelites are all about like Yahweh, you know what I mean? So they don't really like, plus Yahweh's like shown like his shit a little bit. Yeah. So like, you know what I mean?
Even if you're not a true believer, you've heard enough stories like that. Right. There's no need to fuck around. Right. But some guy from the Far East might not.
Right, because he's all about Buddha, you know, or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. He doesn't want you being tainted.
Right.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you know.
Nobody knows, man.
Yeah, no one knows. I don't think he knows.
Yeah. So, I wrote down there's some complex math as far as like selling people back. Like this whole like complex formula, like labor divided by years divided by. It was like weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not even gonna get into that. Aliens. If he kind of said like if aliens buy an Israelite. They're not to be treated harshly in their sight, in your sight or something. It was almost like he was
do that shit behind closed doors.
Right, exactly. Like you can smack the fuck out of your slave, just don't do it in front of people.
Well, I tell my son, like as he's growing older, you know, ultimately I don't have a problem with words. You know, my problem is more with like concepts. Like what the words strung together are saying. So in other words, if my son is like fuck, like it's not appropriate for him to say fuck in front of me. Right. I don't know why. It's like some kind of societal like constraint, you know? So the word fuck by itself isn't what's offensive. What's offensive is how the word fuck can be used. And he's at an age now, right, where he doesn't understand a lot of things. So he doesn't need to be using like foul language because he could say things he doesn't know what they mean and he's just saying them. So
how does he know that word?
How does he know the word fuck? Yeah. Well, the joke is from me. I mean, he does know it from me for sure, but he just knows it. I mean, everyone knows the word fuck.
Maybe that's the problem with this country.
That's not a problem in this country. So here's my point, ultimately, about language. I forgot.
I think the point you were trying to make is that let's take what's behind the words, not the words themselves. Like the context they're said in, what the people meant. I've actually said things that have been like, I guess, off color, and had people jump at me and go, "Dude, man, I'm sorry. That's not what I listen.
Yeah,
that's not what I meant."
I forgot why I was like on that train of thought though. Like
there was slapping your slave behind closed doors.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense. Your whole tangent didn't make sense.
No, I had a tangent. You knocked me off that train of thought.
I did not knock you off it.
You did. Go
no,
ahead.
you knocked yourself off it.
It's
when
possibly.
you rewind this, you're going to hear that you knocked yourself off that.
No, I was in the middle of something, and then you said, like, where did he learn the word fuck from? And, like, you know, like you threw that in, and then, like, that fucked me off.
My whole fucking world collapsed.
Right. Let's go.
I have a very short attention span.
Go ahead.
And then God, once again, mentions, I'm your God. Fear me, basically. It's kind of like the end of this, man.
Well, earlier I had brought up a joke about how, like, the super question at the end and you win everything, you know, like
right.
It disregards everything. And that's how this section ends, by the way, too. So Leviticus 25, verse 54, it says, even if someone is not redeemed in any of these ways, so this is after everything that we've talked about, all this redemption, like, you know, you can redeem yourself if you're a slave like this, if you sell your house like this. It says, even if someone is not redeemed in any of these ways, they and their children are to be released in the year of Jubilee. For the Israelites belong to me as servants. They are my servants, whom I brought out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So he's basically saying, even if someone doesn't follow any of these like rules, they're to be released too.
Only if they're Israelites, though, because the slaves
only if they're Israelites. So if you're an Israelite, you can basically act like a huge piece of shit, right?
I always heard the term in my church-going years about redeeming yourself, redemption. And I guess it really comes from this, and I think it's been perverted over the years. They were actually talking about like a physical commodity as being redeemed.
I mean, honestly,
they weren't talking about like your soul, everything you did, you know, is all right now.
I think you keep conflating your church and the teachings of Jesus with the Old Testament. I think they're very different things.
All right, well,
I mean, I don't know.
We'll see.
So we're just going to end abruptly again?
No, I mean, what do you want to do? You want to like? Should we just start talking?
I don't know. I would like to know the train of thought that I was on about why I started like on the rant.
I'm going to put out
about like my kid and the fact that like I'm not so concerned with the language that they're using.
It all started when I said, basically, don't smack your slave in front of people. Do that shit behind doors.
That's what it is. So I tell my son, I'm like, look, I get that you're going to curse, but you have to learn situational awareness. Do that shit so like adults can't hear. You know, like I'm teaching him how to be a sneaky kid. You know, like I don't want to hear. It's kind of like telling my dad to like if he's going to masturbate with a dildo to lock the door. You know what I mean? Like you do what you got to do, but don't have me walking in on it.
It's strange that 29 episodes later that comes up again.
I'm just saying.
You forget everything. You haven't forgotten that
There's
yet.
certain things you can't forget, Scott. Certain things stay with you forever.
All right, so next episode, are we actually going to finish with Leviticus?
So next episode, there's only 2 chapters left, 26 and 27.
Did you look into them? Can we
26, yeah, we're definitely going to do it. Even if it's going to be like a 2-hour episode, I think we should just finish Leviticus.
Oh, I just heard a groan from the interwebs.
Because it's a 2-hour episode. Did you hear a groan?
I don't know.
Why? No one's listening.
Yeah, it's true.
First of all, it's the very end of the episode. Everyone's turned it off who wants to be listening.
Yeah, they're like, Rusty's lost his train of thought 3 times. We're out.
Yeah. Shout out to Rebecca again. Rebecca, our sponsor and patron. Our first benefactor.
Nice.
Yes.
What country is she from? Because Iceland just joined the crew.
Scott's thinking about getting Rebecca's name on his tombstone. Some kind of like engraving for when he's dead.
First of all, I was thinking I'm going to be cremated.
You're going to be cremated.
And
So what? You could still
I
have
wasn't
a
thinking
tombstone.
about. I wasn't planning on it like in the near future.
You could still have a tombstone.
I guess I could.
Well, nobody plans on it, right? It just should happen.
Maybe you're planning on my demise.
I mean, I would think that your odds of dying rise significantly with my appearances. Like every time I come over, that's like a probability, an increase of probability that you're going to die.
Now, do you think it's because, like, you're going to kill me, or just that the more I'm seen with you, the more likely other people are going to want to kill me?
I think it's everything, all those variables. I think every single variable,
The more children I go missing, the more my chances of getting killed
so
are.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
so that's
right,
it.
So I'm kind of tired of Leviticus, to be honest with you, man. It's been a real slog.
Yeah, it's been dragging through. But
a lot of repetition.
But there's definitely been a lot of Yahweh being like Yahweh, like not in the over-the-top way of like Genesis or Exodus. Right. He's been a little more scheming. Yeah. Like he's maturing, I feel like,
And he's getting other people to do his work.
Or maybe like people were primitive earlier and now they're getting more sophisticated, so he has to get a little more sophisticated with his rules.
He's got to step up his game as we step up ours.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so that's it.
All right. Peace.
Peace.